station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Showers and storms came and they went throughout D.C. yesterday afternoon into the early evening hours, leaving behind a bit of damage in and across Northwest. So, I'll have more details coming up in your forecast as we head into another day.
I've never seen anything like this, and I grew up here. It lasts for such a short time. It just is amazing. It starts, and within 10 minutes, it's gone, and then it's clear.
Coming up this morning on DC News Now, picking up the pieces following a harsh week of thunderstorms. We're checking out the damage left behind and also looking into a possible weather-related death. And from broken trees to damaged cars to heavy flooding, how you can get help if where you live was hit hard by the rain and wind. But first, taking a live look outside, today we'll finally see some relief from the heat that's been stifling the DMV and much of the country. Today is an easy choice for the pick of the weekend. Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on DC News Now. I'm Michaela Newton in for Toast and Fakile, and we'll get to our top stories in just a few minutes. But first, Derek, it's the calm after the storm. So what can we expect after those 3 straight days of severe weather?
Well, after the 3 days of heat and the days of severe weather, we're looking at, of course, a much more pleasant day today. 75 is the current temperature in D.C., partly cloudy. We're seeing a good bit of blue skies out there. We're looking at dew points only into the 60s, so not as humid as we've been over the past couple of days. It seems like we've seen more of a tropical feel here recently, but now things are slightly less humid and less muggy. In some areas, we're seeing very comfy temperatures this morning with north-northeast winds at around 9 miles per hour. Those will turn out northwest later today. After seeing those showers and storms, we were not left with a whole lot of rain. We've only saw less than a half inch of rain in D.C. There could have been some locally heavier showers embedded with those thunderstorms. Could seeing up to some inch in some places locally, but Lexington Park only saw 68/100ths of an inch, just over 3/10 of an inch in Leesburg, and back in Hagerstown, not seeing a drop of rain at all. So unfortunately, I had to water my garden yesterday afternoon going into yesterday evening.
All right, Derek, thanks so much. We'll begin our storm damage coverage this morning in Virginia, where officials are investigating a possible storm-related death. Now, Prince William County police say a 43-year-old man was found dead inside his home. Now, this happened on Holly Hill Drive in Dumfries, and the exact cause of death has not yet been confirmed. And meantime, cleanup is underway across the region. Powerful wind and rain caused a large amount of damage, and Montgomery County was one of the hardest hit areas in the DMV. That's where we now find DC News Now's Dave Laval.
The family that lives in the home behind me is looking for a new place to live. Their home is no longer safe, an unfortunate casualty of Saturday's storm. This home along Charles Road near Gridley Road in Silver Spring is not safe for people to live in it. We're told as many as 3 trees fell on it during Saturday's storm and destroyed it. The Red Cross is working with the family to find temporary housing. Fallen trees are a common sight around Montgomery County. Crews remove a tree that fell on this SUV next to the entrance of the Grand North Bethesda Apartments and Wisconsin condominiums.
I've never seen anything like this, and I grew up here.
Ken Hirsch lives in the Wisconsin. The tree fell hours after his building lost power.
The force of the winds, but it lasts for such a short time. It just is amazing. It starts, and within 10 minutes, it's gone, and then it's clear.
The SUV belongs to a member of the County Emergency Management Services. She and others spent the day helping tenants in both buildings who lost electricity following Friday's storm.
Taking care of the people hard working here for us, very good people.
Renato Giussi lives in the Grand. He says management is doing its best to take care of those who live there.
They give us food and water, and they really doing a good job.
Crews remove fallen trees as quickly as they can, but there is still a lot more to be cleared. Several roads remain closed due to fallen trees and branches. Crews are working to clear the debris as quickly as they can. Meanwhile, Pepco crews are working to restore the power as fast as possible. In Silver Spring, Dave Laval, DC News Now.
Well, new this morning, all 4 lanes of George Washington Parkway are back open after a tree fell into the road. And Fairfax County Police tweeted out this picture of the blockage. This was on GW Parkway near Morningside Lane, so you're now able to use this road as normal. And checking in on the current power outages in our region, as of tens of thousands of people are still in the dark, but PEPCO says about 16,000 people are experiencing outages across Maryland and DC, and compare that to just 3,000 at this time yesterday. Dominion Energy says over 31,000 people in Northern Virginia are in the dark, and more than 20,000 of those people are in Arlington alone. So yesterday, around 300 outages were reported. And here's how you can get help to report an outage in your area. You can contact PEPCO or Dominion Energy, and those numbers are right there on your screen. In the district, crews are cleaning up downed trees and wires, so call 311 for help, but in an emergency, dial 911 right away. And each week on DC News Now, we speak with doctors in the DMV about health issues that may impact many of us in our What's Going Around segment. Evening anchor Chris Flanagan spoke with a Prince George's County pediatrician on why this extreme heat affects children differently than adults.
Heat in particular is very dangerous for children as we are experiencing these extreme heat waves. Children first cannot release heat in the same way that grown-ups do. We always have this notion that children are little adults, and they are not. Their bodies are completely different. Children have a different set point in terms of when they start to sweat. It takes longer for children to sweat, which is our body's way of cooling off. It takes longer for them to sweat than it does adults. Children's bodies are composed of more water than adults, and so in order for them to be able to bring their temperatures down, it takes a lot more energy.
Dr. Hancock, we hear so much about heat exhaustion and heat stroke. What is the difference, and what are some of the warning signs?
Very good question. That's one of the most important things to recognize is the risk of what we call heat stroke. And there are different stages of it. The first stage is what we call heat cramps. You're out in heat or humidity, your body starts to cramp up, your muscles start to get tight. Little ones may not be able to recognize it as a cramp. They may say that their legs or their arms hurt. And so if that's the case and you know that they're in the heat, it's likely that they're moving towards what we call heat exhaustion. Heat exhaustion is when the temperature of the body continues to rise and our bodies aren't able to bring it down on its own. Little ones and adults may start to get confused. They may get dizzy. They will feel lightheaded. They may actually get chills, which is odd, especially in the face of heat. But if someone is complaining of chills or is having shivers while they are outdoors, that is a very significant sign that they are experiencing heat exhaustion and are at risk for what we call heat stroke. Heat stroke develops when someone reaches an internal body temperature of 104 or higher. That's when there's likely going to be increased dizziness. A person may even pass out. What we have to really be worried about is end organ damage. As the body continues to heat up, various organ systems start to shut down, and that's why the body ends up protecting itself by passing out. Heart rate will sometimes come down. You will actually see them no longer sweating because the body has shifted into a very protective mode in trying to bring that temperature down. And that's truly an emergency.
What are some tips to prevent kids from going into heat exhaustion or heat stroke, certainly?
Monitor how much water they're drinking. If we wait until a child is thirsty, that's already a sign of mild dehydration. Thirst is a sign of mild dehydration. It's just not a signal that they need to drink. We want to capture them well before that happens. So not only paying attention to how much they're drinking, but making sure that they're getting over half their body weight in water in terms of ounces. We prefer water. A lot of times families feel like they need to give them these electrolyte beverages. Not necessarily, unless they are physically active. They're playing soccer, football, etc., and they're actually losing salts as they are outdoors.
Great advice there. Dr. Hancock, stay cool. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Problem.
Well, breaking now, Prince George's County Police are investigating a deadly double shooting, and they say it happened around 9:30 last night on Ashwood Drive in Capitol Heights. A man was found dead at the scene, and a woman was taken to the hospital to treat her gunshot wounds. She is expected to be okay, and officials do not believe this is a random shooting and are working to find a motive and a suspect. And developing out of the district, D.C. police need your help finding the suspect in an early morning shooting that left 2 people dead on Friday. It happened on 6th Street and Southeast. And when police arrived, they found 2 victims. They have since been identified as 56-year-old Charles Luster Jr. and 20-year-old Tyjon Clayton. One was declared dead at the scene and the other died at a nearby hospital. Now, police are offering a combined $50,000 reward for answers for both deaths. And FBI agents will not face charges in the death of former political aide and fugitive Roy McGrath. An autopsy report shows he was shot twice, and one of those injuries was self-inflicted. Now, McGrath served as chief of staff to former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. Authorities say the agents acted in self-defense. In April, federal agents confronted McGrath in Tennessee, where he had been on the run for multiple weeks after failing to show up for a trial over alleged fraud charges. Well, new details this morning as Maryland adjusts to its new marijuana laws. The state's chief public defender says she's working to more quickly expunge people with marijuana distribution offenses. Now, this comes as using and selling recreational marijuana is now legal, and the chief public defender told the Hagerstown City Council that records could be expunged in as little as 3 years.
The wait time will drop from 10 years to 3 years, and that is significant because expungement would allow you to clean your record. We know that criminal records handicap people, keep them from obtaining better employment, keep them from improving their housing situation.
And as you just heard, the process used to take a decade, but depending on the circumstances, the conviction could remain on your record for as long as 10 years. Derek?
Well, it is a nice and quiet day compared to where we were yesterday. We had a bunch of wind across the area. Now things are nice. Things feel a little bit less humid this morning than they did yesterday morning. We have temperatures close to where they were yesterday, but we don't have the humidity across the region. We're looking at temperatures to rise steadily up into the 70s over the next couple of hours, seeing those clearing conditions across the region. As we take a look at yesterday's high temperatures, 97. Today's high is only 87 for today, a 10-degree drop in the mercury.